Prologue. Why are you reading this part? I never read these. What's the point of a prologue anyway, right? It's an introductory work to help advance the plot, they say. So, what's the plot of this book? Well, it's the plot of life, really. We live in a culture that is never satisfied, always changing because it doesn't like itself, always searching, but never finding fulfillment. We live in a fallen world where it's easier to sin than it is to follow Jesus. I mean, sin is fun, if we're honest. It's impulsive and reactive while blinding us to its consequences. Sin is the wide path and the trail of life. It's easy to find, readily worn down, diverts you in many directions if you'd like. It's the commercialized trail with flashing lights, every desire at your fingertips. Make your own trail if you like. It will take you wherever you want to go, and it's always there to welcome you into its alluring arms. You can never get lost. The path makes sure of it. It's almost too easy, isn't it? As we get older, we realize life isn't easy. Matter of fact, we know that life is full of adversity. It's part of how we learn and grow stronger and avoid mistakes. We know we need challenges, and when something is too good to be true, we often find it is, isn't it? We love conspiracy theories to root out the fakes and expose the injustices as a culture. We love the thought of social justice more than the thought of Jesus, most times. So with all this heightened desire to root out a conspiracy and unveil truth at every turn, how come we can't see the spiritual injustice happening right in front of us? How can we not see the path we are mindlessly walking seems suspicious and a little too good to be true? How can we not see even as the world gets everything it wants, it still seems to be getting worse? Why can't we see that the path we're on is a little too commercialized for a supposed nature trail? Jesus says in Matthew 7:13 that the gate to God's kingdom is narrow, but the highway to hell is wide for the many who choose it. Those aren't always comforting words to hear, but truth isn't often commercialized. So how do we combat this wide road, and how do we make sure we aren't finding ourselves on the wrong road, in the wrong grip of culture, and not even know it? We look for the breadcrumbs. As believers, we are told there won't be many of us, sadly. Jesus knew the allure of the wide road would be too much for many because it's intoxicating and sin is powerful. But for those of us who believe that Jesus is our Savior and the only way to heaven, we leave breadcrumbs for each other. As we grow in our wisdom and journey down the path to our final destination to be with Jesus, we leave breadcrumbs for those who will come after us. When we found the narrow road, we leave breadcrumbs for the generations who will follow behind us and get distracted by the world and all its charms as it tries to distract and detour them away from righteousness. We leave breadcrumbs for those who wonder if they even know where the path is anymore. We leave them the breadcrumbs of Jesus' words, the breadcrumbs of lessons learned, of marriages restored by the power of Jesus' name, the reminders of lessons learned to never give up inside suffering. As believers, we guide each other home. We look for the breadcrumbs of generations past, of the leaders who gave their lives for the gospel. We see the breadcrumbs and take heart. Other paths lead to death, but we have found the only path that will lead us out. So these are my breadcrumbs for the generations behind me. For my son, who I pray will follow in my footsteps and never take his eyes off the path to Jesus. These are for the generations in front of me who have lost their way and stepped off the path and are tired of looking for hope in places they know they should not be. These are the breadcrumbs to point you back to the narrow path, the path to Jesus. These are my breadcrumbs for anyone who needs to find Jesus again, or who needs reminded to never give up and keep walking, even when it feels like you can't take another step. Take another step, if that's all you can do today. Don't stop moving. Look down. Find the breadcrumbs that let you know you're on the right path. Jesus will never leave you, and neither will those on the path ahead of you. You're almost home.